Hello, welcome to Norfolk and Waveney Long COVID Peer Support Group. My name's Grant and I'm one of the two co-founders with my colleague Beth. And we first of all would like to thank you for agreeing to be a guest presenter. And we assume that that's the reason you're watching this short video. And we really do appreciate your support. So thank you. If you're a person who's very conversant with PowerPoint and using it for presentation purposes, then you probably want to not watch any further in this video. However, the reason for the video is that we have encountered one or two presenters who've said to us that PowerPoint isn't something they use on a day-to-day basis, and in some cases the slideshow that they're giving has actually been written by somebody else. So they've run into a few technical issues in terms of how to best get the slides running the way that suits the audience. So there's no problem with that at all because we all have our own personal skill levels. So what I'm going to do is just give you a very quick guide here. So if you haven't changed your PowerPoint settings on your PC, you will have gone to PowerPoint, opened it up, found your file either in the cloud or on your PC somewhere, and opened the document that you want to use. In this case, I'm chosen a presentation that I wrote for Beth and I to give to the PCAS service, post-COVID service in Norwich, just for the benefit of demonstration. However, so the first slide you'll see here has got a red outline, and that shows that that's the slide we're focused on, and it clearly is the one that appears in this window. And by the way, I highlighted my arrow with a different color and made it twice the size or 3 times the size to help demonstrate where I'm going. Down here you've got your normal slides, so you can scroll down there if you've got a scrolling mouse, or you can move the toolbar and go up and down as normal. And let's say you want to look at a particular slide, then you can just go straight to that slide. And typically this is where most people would land, because if you haven't changed the way that PowerPoint opens, then once you've opened the file, it would be in this format. So your slides are shown down here and the slide we're discussing would be central. However, the other thing is that over here on the right hand side, you may have chosen to have on your screen things like your speaker notes or other apps open at the same time. And if you do, then what we as the viewing audience see is all of this area here. So we are basically mirroring a look at your PC. Not in the real sense that we can access it, but just that we can see what you can see. So you may not want us to see that. Also, it means that some of the slides may be smaller than you'd intended because we're seeing them in a reduced view. So that's why it's quite useful to move on to a different setting. Now, if you can't do that, don't want to do that, and are able to just carry on as a slideshow like this, then that's fair enough, and you would just click on your slides when you're ready and they would migrate as you just saw. However, typically people want to give us a presentation, will go along the top toolbar to slideshow. Now your toolbar may be different to mine, it just depends how you've got it set up, but I'm using, as I said, Windows 11 and the most current version of PowerPoint, but it really doesn't matter. So when you click on slideshow, if you've written PowerPoint, then you'll be very familiar with these buttons. If for any reason you didn't write it, let's say your comms team did, or you're using a colleague's presentation, then don't panic or worry about these buttons. We're not going to talk about them anyway. What we're interested in is this button here, which says from the beginning. And when you hover over it with your mouse, you would see a little button come up to say start from the beginning brackets F5. For those of you who use function keys or shortcuts, the keys along the top of your keyboard, if you pressed F5 it would open the slideshow. That's what that means. This one says from the current slide, and that message that hovers when you hover over says shift plus F5, and that's because you can't have two functions doing the same thing. So in this case they've set it that you need to hold your shift key, before you press F5, and then it would start from whichever slide you were on. So the difference in the two icons is reasonably obvious. This one is a little projector screen lectern with the forward play arrowhead in the middle, and this one is the same little projection screen lectern, but it's got a square and a few lines, and that's to sort of give you the image that you're already in a slideshow showing something further on. Now what does that mean? Well, if I wanted, let's say, to start here, then I would go here to pick current slide, and it would start at this slide, which I'll show you in a moment. But in this case, I'm going to go back to the start, and I'm going to play from the beginning, and you can see now that the slideshow has opened, and this is what we, as your audience, would be viewing. So we are now seeing a giant screen of all the slide, so we can see it and read it better and follow you easily. Now, for you as the presenter, if you wish to navigate to your next slide, depending on how you've set your transitions, and slide transitions is simply a case that you can create fancy settings within PowerPoint so that you can have your slides come on at a set time and only stay on the screen for a set number of minutes or seconds, or you can have them come on with what they call a transition, so it may appear from the left, it may appear from the right, it may swoosh in from the top or the bottom, open like a set of Venetian blinds, or come in with an explosion and a sound. But for the benefit of a simple presentation, it's easier to just not have transitions. And then in order to advance to the second slide in the series, you just click anywhere on your slide and it will advance you through your presentation. Now, also on your keyboard, you will be familiar with the left and right and up and down arrows, and those do exactly what they say. They will move you through there without you having to click your mouse. So as you just saw, I've navigated through. Now, for the moment, I've come out of the slideshow and we're back to the PowerPoint screen. So that was how easy that was to show us the whole screen. Now let's say, as I said, that you want to start somewhere else in your presentation because maybe the presentation contained 40 slides, you only want to show us 20, or it may have been something that was written about several things for your staff and or different topics. So you can start anywhere in your presentation. So in this case, I've navigated down here. My slide has now got the bold red in it, disappeared off the red one until I go back to the top. But this is the screen that we're looking at, and that's why it's highlighted. So this time when I go up here, I'll pick from the current slide, and as you see, the presentation opens immediately in that slide. And to prove that, if I use my left arrow, look, I've gone back. So clearly you can start anywhere you want. Now, the only thing that I would point out there is that it's often the case that you've spent time creating a nice entry screen, and your first screen often says things like your title, the title of the project that you're going to present on, and so you may want that to appear as well as starting somewhere mid slideshow. So the easy way to do that is to select it with your mouse, hold and move it down to wherever you want to start, just like that, reordering the slides. So you'll see it's gone from number one. Number one is now Beth and me, and up here it's become slide number 4 and number 5. So if this time I pick from current slide, it starts there, and to prove that, if I go back, that's slide 3, and if I go forward, that was the original slide 5 that we were going to start with. So you can see that that gives you an easy option. Now, in the event that you think, well, actually that slide, the cover slide, isn't of much use to me because it contains multiple things that I'm not going to talk about. Let's say here your text said that you were going to talk to us about bone, muscle and joint problems, but you're not, you're only going to talk to us about muscle problems, then you might want to edit that slide. So as you saw, I just dragged it back to where it started, so I haven't spoiled my presentation, but I do want to actually create a duplicate of this slide. So the way to do that is to go Insert, New Slide, Duplicate the Slide. and now you'll see it's given me a new one. So it assumes that you want to do something to this slide. So over here, in this case, this is just a solid image. So if I wanted to replace that, I would change that image. But if I was here and I had made that a duplicate slide, I could go in here and change the text or do whatever I wanted to make it fit today's presentation. And when you've then done that and made your changes, you drag the one that you've changed anywhere down here into your presentation. So in this case, I'm going to go down to make that slide 12. And this time, when I go back to my slideshow and go from the current slide, it opens like that. And that is slide 13. And there are the previous 12 slides. You'll notice when I go back to the top, I've actually still got my original slide, which in this case would have been an unaltered slide. Now, how do I come out of my PowerPoint presentation? At any time when you're on any screen like this, you press the key top left ESC escape, and it will always bring you back to your PowerPoint. And that's how easy it is to navigate away from this type of look to a slideshow. However, there is an easier way. And you'll notice that these two icons from the beginning and from the current slide, in my case, are duplicated here. So in order not to confuse you, I'm going to go back to home. So we're back as you would be when you first open PowerPoint and you're going to give us a presentation. Now this area is called your quick access toolbar, and you may or may not have these already set. You may have others like I've got, spell check, but if you haven't, don't worry about it. But in this case, if you have a quick access toolbar, instead of coming from home, navigate to slideshow, then pick these buttons, you're in home and you just click from the beginning and you're straight into your slideshow. Alternatively, I want to start here this time. You go on to here and you pick from the beginning, from the particular slide, and it opens in the particular slide. So everything I just said about making yourself a new start slide, etc., all still is relevant, but it just means that you haven't got to do home, slideshow, find button. You've got the two buttons there. Now let's assume that you haven't got these icons here. How do you put them into your quick access toolbar? So what you do is you open this little down arrow which says customize the quick access toolbar and go down until you find more commands. What that does is opens this field here, and you can see it defaults to quick access toolbar. On the left are all the things that you can choose to add to your quick access toolbar, lots of them. And alternatively, on the right hand side are the things that you would currently have set. So in my case, you're seeing what I've got set there. Hence, I've got from the beginning and from the current slide. Let's say I want to put something else in. I'm going to pick add a table. So I highlight the one I want to use, I click add, and it's in there now as add a table. So when I click OK, I default back to my normal screen and hey, I've got a new icon saying add a table. Now to take that out, because I don't particularly want it, you just do the reverse. So we go into more commands, highlight add a table, and now you see remove comes up as well as add. So this time I'm going to remove it. So that's it. Now if I go back to OK, it's gone. So the good thing about this is you haven't got to restart PowerPoint or refresh your computer or do anything like that. It's so easy to use. Something else I would just say is that if, for example, you find these two icons being close together a little bit difficult with your eyes, or you just don't like it, then you can set them out in different ways. So in this case, I'm going to separate them with my spelling icon. And to do that, all you do is select what you want to move and you move it. So in this case, I've decided to split from the beginning and from current with the spelling. And if I press OK, you can see now that actually, yes, it is a little easier to understand that I've got these two icons like that with spelling in between. However, if you're still not happy and you want to go back, then you click on spelling again, and this time you take it down or move it up, and you can move these things up and down according to your preferences. So That's how easy it is to use these two buttons. So as I said, instead of coming home, slideshow, press button, you're in home, you just go straight here, start from the beginning, the way you are, and start from a particular slide once you've selected it, and it starts from there. And then when you press escape, as I said, you will always come back to the slide on which you were last featured in your window. So that's it, folks. I hope you find that useful. I am going to make another short video about co-hosting and the use of Zoom. So if that's of interest to you, please have a watch. And once again, a huge thank you from Beth and I for being one of our guest presenters. Thank you. Bye-bye.